I've been with my boyfriend for about 10 years now. We met when we were young, me, 20, and him, 19. It was one of those whirlwind romances where everything just clicked, and we fell into each other's lives so naturally. Things moved fast, and before we knew it, we were together. We were so happy, so in love, like it was meant to be. But over the years, things have gotten complicated. We've been doing the long-distance thing for just over half of our relationship, and it hasn't been easy. I'm not going to lie, I miss him all the time, but I also miss how easy things felt back then. We used to laugh so much, talk for hours about everything and nothing, and now it feels like every conversation is about what's wrong or what's missing. I love him so much, and I don't doubt for a second that he loves me too. But it's like there's this weight between us now that I don't know how to lift. It's not like we haven't tried to fix things. We both have our own issues. We're not perfect, far from it. For me, it's been a constant battle of feeling like I'm not really seen or valued for who I am. Sometimes it feels like I'm more of an option than a priority in his life. He's always been the kind of person who wants things his way, Like he has these specific preferences for how I should look, how I should act, and I've tried to meet him halfway. I've toned down my style, tried to dress the way he likes, and even started working out and seeing a dietitian because I know he's worried about my weight. But no matter how much I change, it feels like it's never enough. He tells me he misses the old me, the person I was when we first met. He says he misses my hair, my makeup, the clothes I used to wear, even the way I used to think about things. And every time he says that, it's like he's not talking about me. He's talking about some version of me that doesn't exist anymore. I get it. We've been together a long time and I've changed. We both have. But it hurts to hear that he's holding on to this image of who I used to be, almost like the person I am now isn't good enough. We've had a lot of conversations about this over the years. I've tried to explain that I'm not the same person I was when I was 20, that I've grown and changed just like anyone does. I've tried to tell him that I still love him, that I still want the same things, but that I also have my own needs and wants. I've been in therapy for a while now, working on myself and trying to figure out who I am outside of our relationship. I've been working on my finances, my mental health, and just trying to be a better version of myself. But every time I make progress, it feels like he's still looking back, still comparing me to that girl he fell in love with. He says he's happy enough with me, and that stings. It's like he's saying I'm a consolation prize, and when I press him on it, he says he knows I'm working on myself, that he sees I'm trying and that he appreciates it. But then he always adds that he misses the past me, like I'm still not measuring up to some ideal that only exists in his memory. It's hard to hear that, especially when I'm proud of the person I've become. I've grown up, I've become more independent, I've learned to stand up for myself, and I'm finally starting to feel comfortable in my own skin. But to him, it's like I'm just not quite right. I understand that he has his own needs too. He says I don't listen to him, that I put my own wants above his, and that my views on life don't always match up with his anymore. He says I've changed in ways that worry him, that my mindset and outlook on life are different now, and that it's hard for him to reconcile that with the person he remembers. I get that. It's not easy when the person you're with changes. But I can't help but feel like he's stuck in the past, holding on to this idea of me that isn't real anymore. The thing is, I'm not unhappy with who I am. I've spent so much time trying to be what he wants that I've started to lose sight of what I want. I used to love dressing a certain way, doing my hair in bold colors, wearing makeup that made me feel powerful. But over time, I've toned all of that down because I wanted him to see that I care about his opinions, that I'm willing to compromise. But sometimes I look in the mirror and I don't even recognize myself. I miss the parts of me that I've given up, and I'm trying to find a balance where I can be true to myself and still make him happy. But I don't know if that's possible anymore. I've asked him if he's truly happy with me as I am now, and he always skirts around the question. He says he's happy enough, that he loves me, but that there are things he misses. And I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to be everything he wants and still be true to myself. I don't know if it's normal to feel this way in a long-term relationship. Is it normal to miss the person your partner used to be? Are we supposed to just accept that we'll never be exactly what the other person wants? Sometimes I lie awake at night wondering if we're just stuck in this endless cycle of trying to fix each other. I wonder if we're holding on to each other out of comfort, out of nostalgia for what we used to be. I love him, I do, and I want us to work. But I don't know if I can keep changing myself to fit into a version of me that no longer exists. I don't know if it's fair to either of us to keep holding on when we're both looking for something that's in the past. I just want to know if this is normal. Do other couples go through this? Do they look at each other and think about the past, wondering if they can ever get back to what they had? I'm scared of losing him, but I'm also scared of losing myself. I put so much of myself into this relationship, and I don't want to wake up one day and realize that I've given up all the things that made me me. I've heard people say that love is about growing together, but what happens when you grow in different directions? What happens when the person you love starts to feel like a stranger? I don't want to give up on us, but I also don't want to keep fighting a losing battle. I just want to be seen and loved for who I am now, not who I used to be. Is that too much to ask? I guess I'm still trying to figure it all out. I'm still trying to understand if this is just a rough patch, or if it's a sign that we've outgrown each other. I want to believe that we can make it through, that we can find a way to love each other as we are now. But I also know that I can't keep pretending to be someone I'm not. I can't keep chasing a version of myself that doesn't exist anymore. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it's okay to let go of who we were and try to find out who we can be, together or apart. I don't have all the answers, but I'm trying. I'm trying to hold on, trying to be true to myself, and trying to figure out if there's still a place for us in each other's lives. So, I don't know where this is going, but I do know that I deserve to be loved for who I am right now. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most important thing of all. It's been 6 years with my boyfriend, and honestly, it's been a roller coaster. We met when I was 21 and he was 31, and from the start, it felt like a real connection. I thought we were building something solid, something real. But now, looking back, I wonder if I was the only one really building, the only one truly invested. You see, it all started with another woman, his so-called best friend. We got together just after he was rejected by her. I didn't know about this until months into our relationship, until after I had already fallen hard for him. And when I say rejected, I mean she turned him down flat. He wanted something more, something serious with her, but she didn't feel the same, and so he moved on to me. Or at least that's what I thought. A few months into our relationship, I noticed something odd. His phone would buzz at all hours, and every time I looked over, it was her name on the screen. At first, I brushed it off. I mean, everyone has friends, right? But then it kept happening. Late-night calls, random texts, constant notifications. I confronted him about it, asked him why she was calling so much. He brushed me off, said they were just friends, that I had nothing to worry about. He promised it was innocent, but the calls didn't stop. In fact, they only seemed to get more frequent. I'd see him smiling at his phone, completely lost in their conversations. It was like she had a hold on him that I just couldn't understand. And no matter how much I asked, he never stopped talking to her. She was always there, a constant presence in our relationship, like a shadow I couldn't shake. 2 years in, I couldn't take it anymore. I felt like I was losing my mind, constantly second-guessing everything. So I did something I swore I'd never do. I snooped through his phone. I know it was wrong, and I hate that I stooped to that level, but I needed to know. And what I found, well, it broke me. There were messages between them, so many messages. But it wasn't just casual chatting. No, it was way more than that. He told her he'd marry her. He called her his ideal. I felt my heart shatter as I read those words, and it only got worse. She asked him to explain what he meant, and he went on and on. He said she had everything. She was successful, beautiful, intelligent, kind, caring. He said she was someone he looked up to, someone he could spend multiple lives with. Multiple lives. I remember just staring at those words, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. It was like everything I'd feared, everything I'd been worried about, was right there in front of me. She wasn't just his best friend. She was the one he wanted, the one he'd always wanted. And I was just there. I confronted him, of course. I couldn't keep that bottled up inside. I showed him the messages and demanded answers. He tried to downplay it at first, said it was all just a misunderstanding, that he didn't mean it like that. But how do you misinterpret something like that? How do you misinterpret someone telling another woman they're their ideal, that they'd marry them in a heartbeat? I told him I couldn't take it anymore, that he needed to choose. He promised me he'd stop talking to her, that he'd cut her out of his life for good. He said I was overreacting, that it was just words, and that I was the one he loved. And like a fool, I believed him. I wanted to believe him so badly. I wanted to believe that he could change, that we could move past this. So I forgave him. I told myself that this was just a rough patch, that every couple goes through tough times, and that we'd come out stronger on the other side. But deep down, I think I always knew. I always knew that he wasn't over her. 4 years into our relationship, I found out he was still reaching out to her. Only this time he was being sneakier about it. He was anonymously messaging her on Instagram, responding to her story questions like some kind of secret admirer. I found these messages where he'd ask her things like, "Are you a model?" He didn't make it obvious that it was him, but I knew. I knew it was him trying to keep that connection alive in whatever way he could. He couldn't let go of her. No matter how much time passed, no matter what he promised me, he just couldn't let her go. I confronted him again, and it was the same song and dance. He swore it was nothing, that he was just being stupid, that it didn't mean anything. But how many times can you hear that before you stop believing it? How many times can you forgive someone for the same thing before you start to feel like a fool? I've been waiting so long for him to change, hoping that one day he'd wake up and realize what he has right in front of him. I've waited for him to see me, to choose me, to finally put our relationship first. But I'm starting to wonder if that day will ever come. I'm starting to wonder if I'm just wasting my time, holding on to a hope that will never be fulfilled. I've tried to be patient. I've tried to be understanding. I've tried to tell myself that he just needs time to figure things out, that he's still working through his feelings. But how long am I supposed to wait? How long am I supposed to put my own happiness on hold while he chases after a dream that doesn't include me? I love him. I really do. I wouldn't have stayed this long if I didn't. But love isn't supposed to feel like this, is it? It's not supposed to feel like you're always second best, like you're constantly competing with someone else for your partner's affection. It's not supposed to feel like you're waiting for someone to change, to finally see you the way you want to be seen. I've tried to talk to him about it, tried to make him understand how much this hurts. He always says the same things, that he loves me, that he's with me, that I'm the one he's chosen. But his actions don't match his words. He's still holding on to her, still keeping that door open just a crack, just enough to let her in whenever she decides she wants him. And maybe that's the hardest part. Knowing that no matter how much I love him, no matter how hard I try, I'll never be enough to make him let her go. I'll never be enough to make him see me the way he sees her. I'll never be enough to be his ideal, his perfect person, his one. So here I am, 6 years in, wondering where we go from here. I've given him so many chances, so many opportunities to prove that he's committed to us. But I keep ending up in the same place, hurt, betrayed, and wondering why I'm not enough. I'm tired of feeling like I'm not good enough, like I'm just a placeholder until something better comes along. I'm tired of waiting for him to wake up and realize what he's got. And maybe, just maybe, it's time for me to wake up too. I don't know what the future holds for us. I don't know if he'll ever be able to let her go, or if I'll ever be able to trust him completely. But I do know that I can't keep living like this. I can't keep pretending that everything's okay when it's not. I deserve better than this. I deserve to be with someone who chooses me, who doesn't keep looking back at what could have been. I deserve to be someone's first choice, not their backup plan. So what can I do? I don't have all the answers, and I'm still trying to figure it all out. But I know that I deserve to be loved for who I am, not as a consolation prize for someone who couldn't have what they really wanted. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to let go of the hope that he'll ever change and start focusing on myself for a change. It's scary, thinking about walking away from something you've invested so much in. But sometimes holding on does more damage than letting go. And I think I'm finally ready to start letting go. Letting go of the hurt, the disappointment, and the endless waiting. Letting go of the hope that he'll ever see me the way I deserve to be seen. And maybe, just maybe, that's the first step towards finding the love that I've been searching for all along. The kind of love that doesn't make me feel like I'm second best, but like I'm enough, just as I am. 6 years into my relationship, and I thought we were solid. I thought we were one of those couples that could weather any storm, that could face anything together. But now I'm not so sure. A few weeks ago, everything came crashing down when a woman reached out to me out of the blue. She told me that my boyfriend had been sexting her, and suddenly, everything I thought I knew about our relationship felt like a lie. I remember the moment vividly. I was sitting at home, scrolling through my phone, when her message popped up. My heart sank before I even opened it, like somehow I knew this wasn't going to be good, and it wasn't. She sent screenshots, proof of the messages between them, explicit messages, things that made my stomach turn. He wasn't just talking to her. He was sharing parts of himself that were supposed to be mine. But the sexting, as painful as it was, wasn't even the worst part. It was what she knew about me. Personal details, things I had shared with him in confidence, were now in the hands of a complete stranger. She knew my struggles, my insecurities, things I had only ever told him. And she used them against me, throwing them in my face like they were ammunition in a fight I didn't even know I was part of. It wasn't just about the sexting. It was about the betrayal of trust, the realization that the person I loved had shared my most private moments with someone else. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He said he needed to talk to someone outside of our relationship for clarity on the issues we were having. He said he felt lost, confused, like he needed to get an outside perspective. But I still don't understand how that led to sexting. I still don't get how discussing our problems turned into explicit conversations with another woman. He kept saying it was never about her, that he didn't have feelings for her, that it was just a stupid mistake. But he met her once, briefly, and while he swears nothing physical happened, I can't help but feel that the line was crossed long before they even met in person. I asked him why he told her so much about me, why he felt the need to share my private struggles with her. He didn't have a good answer. He just kept saying he didn't mean to hurt me, that he didn't realize how much it would affect me. But how could he not? How could he not know that sharing my secrets with a stranger, with someone he was sexting, would break me? I felt so exposed, so vulnerable. Like I was suddenly naked in front of this person who was supposed to be on the outside of my life. I'm honestly more upset about that than the sexting itself. The sexting feels like a betrayal of our relationship. But the sharing of my personal life, my struggles, that feels like a betrayal of me as a person. It feels like he took something that was mine, something I trusted him with, and handed it over to someone else without a second thought. He's been apologizing ever since. He says he's sorry, that he knows he messed up, that he'll do anything to fix it. He says it was a one-time thing, that he was just confused and didn't know what he was doing, but the trust is gone. Every time I look at him, I see those messages, see her face, hear her words. It's like this thing has lodged itself in my mind, and no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to get past it. I've told him I forgive him, but I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not sure if you can really forgive something like this, or if you just say, you do because it's easier than admitting you don't know what else to do. I keep telling myself that we can move past it, that we can work through this. But then I lie awake at night, replaying everything over and over in my head. I wonder if this will happen again. I wonder if I'll ever be able to trust him again. He's been trying to prove himself, trying to show me that he's committed to fixing things. He's been open with his phone, letting me see everything, answering every question I have. But even with all of that, I still feel this knot in my stomach, this unease that won't go away. I don't know how to move forward. I don't know if I can. People always say that forgiveness is a choice, that it's something you will have to actively decide to do every day. But what happens when the hurt doesn't go away? What happens when every time you look at your partner, you see the ways they've hurt you? I've tried to let it go, to move on, but I can't shake this feeling that I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for the next time he messes up. I've talked to friends, to family, trying to get advice on what to do. Everyone says something different. Some say I should leave, that I deserve better than this, that if he's done it once, he'll do it again. Others say I should give him a chance, that everyone makes mistakes, that if I really love him, I should try to work through it. But none of them are in my shoes. None of them know what it feels like to be in love with someone who's betrayed you like this. I wish I could just flip a switch and make it all go away. I wish I could look at him and see the person I fell in love with, not the person who hurt me. I wish I could trust him again, really trust him, without feeling like I'm just waiting for him to break my heart all over again. He keeps asking me what he can do to make it right, but I don't know what to tell him. I don't know how to fix this, and I don't think he does either. It's like we're both stumbling in the dark, trying to find our way back to each other, but I'm not even sure if that's possible. Maybe this is one of those things that time will heal, but right now time feels like it's moving too slowly. I'm scared that I'll never be able to get past this, that no matter how much effort he puts in, it'll never be enough. I'm scared that I'll always be looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next betrayal. And I hate that. I hate that this thing has taken over my life, that it's tainted every good memory we've made together. I keep asking myself if I can really forgive him, if I can really move on from this. And honestly, I don't know. I want to, but wanting and doing are two very different things. I want to believe that he's learned from this, that he'll never do anything like this again. But I'm also terrified that I'm setting myself up for more pain, that I'm giving him the chance to hurt me again. I guess the question I keep coming back to is this: can you really forgive someone who's betrayed your trust? And if you do, how do you move forward without constantly looking back? I don't have the answers, and I'm not sure anyone else does either. But for now, all I can do is take it one day at a time, hoping that one day this wound will start to heal, and I'll finally be able to see the person I love without all the hurt getting in the way.
I shall see you. Here,